Excellent. The recording is on. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Once again, this is me and Geerchan. Hello, Geerchan.
Hello, Arun. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful, thank you. Over past 3 episodes, we have built a NetBeans plugin for Couchbase. So the idea is have Couchbase as a first-class database that can be supported in NetBeans, where you can develop, deploy, manage your applications deployed on Couchbase from NetBeans itself. And as part of that, you're also learning, some of the NetBeans platform fundamentals. And if you want to build a NetBeans plugin from scratch, this would be a good way for you to learn that as well. Today we are doing part 4. Um, we have done a whole bunch of functionality. First of all, our website is over here, so you can see the website. As a matter of fact, this is a GitHub project, so take a look at it. The functionality that has been incorporated is already here. So today, what we intend to do is we'll go back to, like in the last episode, we added a whole bunch of features. Today, we want to dig, under the hood and see what's happening and how we build those features. All right, Gidget?
Yes.
All right, then let's take it away. So I think I'm gonna go back to my Skype, and then you can share us what you got.
Okay. You can see my NetBeans right now, right?
I'm just about getting there, and I can. I love that look, by the way. Yeah.
Perfect.
Let me blow it full screen. Yes, now I can. And let me make, yeah, okay. Now I only see NetBeans in my window. That is cool.
Okay, so each NetBeans plugin is different, of course, because they provide different functionality, and which means that the entry point of the functionality into NetBeans depends on what that functionality is. In this case, what we're working on is support for Couchbase. And so the typical place where you would plug in some external tool like Couchbase into NetBeans would be in the services window, as we have done. So
Right.
when I go to window and to services, this would be the place where you would expect to see some UI for Couchbase in NetBeans, because this is also where we have our other database support and our servers and Maven repositories and these kinds of things, cloud, OpenShift. There's a plugin that plugs into that. So this is the first thing you would do when you're creating a plugin for anything, but also for NetBeans, is you would find where is the most logical place where somebody is going to need to make use of that functionality.
So for now, what we have done is we have created a top-level Couchbase plugin. We wanted to see that we know that is in services. Eventually, we may refactor it where it fits into the database, sort of a tree there.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so what's very important in this particular kind of plugin we're creating now for Couchbase is a term called node. So this is it's a NetBeans API class called node. And each of the items that you see here, so this is a node, and this is a node, and this is a node, and this is a node. You can also see this in the projects window. There's a package node, and there's a Java class node, and there's a project node. These are all called nodes. So that's really the first important thing. And a node in NetBeans terminology is a wrapper around something else. So in this case, for example, this node here is a wrapper around a bucket. Or which one? This one. So, or I believe this is a bucket.
Correct.
So within a connection, so this is a connection node, we can create buckets. And this is a bucket, and within each bucket we have documents. And within each document we have lines of code.
So depending upon which node you are in, you can actually create context-sensitive menus which says,
Yes.
oh, in this node only this menu should be made available.
Yes. So a node, you can see a node has an icon and it has a display name, and potentially it has children. So you can see the document node has children, the bucket node has children, but these are basically keys and values inside of a document, and you can see that right now, anyway, these don't have children. So it's possible for a node to have children or to not have children. And if a node does not have children, it's called a leaf node. So this is a leaf node, and this is just a node that has children. It's a parent node. This is a parent node. That's a parent node. That's a parent node. That's a parent.
So it's very much like a tree structure. End of the day, you do have a leaf node, but then there are branches and trunk and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely right. Also, when you right-click on a node, you often see these menu items. So this is everything here is swing. So this is a J pop-up menu on this node, and these are menu items that are in that.
And so each node can be associated with a certain menu items and the actions associated with them.
Yes, yes. And also, we haven't done that right now, but what we could have is, if you look at these Java classes, when I select a Java class here, and I go to the file menu, when I now do a save, that particular Java file that I have selected will be saved. So what you see in the menu bar and toolbar here can also be connected to what is currently selected.
Got it.
In our Couchbase node hierarchy. So in NetBeans terminology, this little structure is called a node hierarchy, consisting of the Couchbase root node with a number of sub-nodes, which are each of them parent nodes, leading up to right at the end a value node that is a leaf that has itself no children. And each of them you can see have distinct icons and distinct display names and distinct information or distinct menu items when you right-click on them. And also, when you look inside the Properties window, when I go to Window, IDE, Tools, and Properties, I can see that the Properties window here changes depending on what I'm currently selecting, which makes sense.
Right.
You would expect that to happen.
Right.
I mean, and that is because each of these nodes wrap information which is automatically published whenever we select something, and this Properties window is automatically listening for some information, because the Properties window is not something that is provided by the Couchbase plugin. It's just a standard piece of NetBeans UI, which is constantly listening for a node, in fact. So whenever we select a different node, what is happening is that node is being published by some plumbing code that we have built into our node hierarchy, and this Properties window is listening. So there's a whole concept here beyond node, and this is the concept of lookup. So here are actually I think there are two really important terms. The one is node, and the other is lookup.
Got it. So each node, in that sense, whether it's a intermediate node or a leaf node, is publishing some properties, and those properties are being looked up by this property window. And as we are traversing through the tree, this property window is looking up for that node and saying, "Hey, give me the information," and then it displays that one.
Well, actually, what that Properties window is doing is it's listening. It's not connected in any way directly to this Couchbase hierarchy, because we created this plugin independently of this Properties window.
Gidjan, I lost your screen share.
Oh. Why did that happen?
Nope, coming back.
Wait, let me have to stop sharing and now share screens again. You should see the screen now.
And is waiting and waiting and back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the important point we were at is that the Properties window has no knowledge at all of the Couchbase node hierarchy. There's no way it can have any knowledge of that, because we created this Couchbase plugin,
right,
years after the Properties window was created.
Yeah.
So the only thing that the Properties window is aware of is the node class.
Yeah, I lost your screen share again. I
Ah,
don't know what's happening.
I'm not sure what we can do. We're just getting to a very interesting point.
So I have disabled my video, so I'm gonna turn on my video again, and my video is turned off.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm gonna share screens again. One
Yeah.
second.
Okay, back again. I don't know if that's weird. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're back.
Yeah.
So the point is that the properties window has a event listener essentially,
Right.
and whenever we click on a different node, automatically that node class is being published into a global context, a global lookup, and this properties window is then notified, hey, there is a new node there, and then the properties window gets the properties of that node using introspection and displays those properties in the properties window.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, got it. So I mean, and this is very standard NetBeans platform.
Yeah.
We're just using this for Couchbase, but any plugin can actually use that terminology.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so that's the basic idea. How we've so those are the basic concepts. So when you're creating a plugin, this is important knowledge to have, especially when you're creating a plugin that needs to represent some kind of hierarchy. So we have a hierarchy here, and we have some data and in different levels that we want to display and to work with. So the logical thing to do would be to create what we've done, is this Couchbase hierarchy. But the important thing, first of all, is you need to know what is the entry point. And so the entry point that we started with ourselves, when we were still talking about the NetBeans plugin, before we were talking about the functionality, is we had the service tab node registration. And this is an annotation that you can put on top of any class that extends node. And abstract node is essentially a default node. So if I look,
Gijan, I think we're having way too much fun. My screen share is lost again. You know what? Let me see. Let me see if I can move to a different room. Hold on a second.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. This room is generally known to have better internet connection. So let's take a look. Do you want to refresh your screen again? See, stop sharing, start sharing maybe?
Yep. Let me do that. Keep having to look for it.
Okay, we're back again. Cool, yeah.
Okay, so the point at this point is that we need to find a way to plug our node hierarchy into the services window.
Right.
And the way that that is done, I can see this in the files window, is we have a registration system in NetBeans that makes use of XML files called layer files.
Right.
And we can see here that there is a folder in that system called UI with a subfolder called runtime. And what we need to do there is we need to register a node. So you can see that I've done that. And I haven't manually had to type this. What I've done instead is I put this annotation on top of the root node. And at compile time, this annotation is handled by an annotation processor, which generates this entry into that XML file.
And this is what we did, as a matter of fact, in the very first, well, maybe the second episode, because in the first one, all we did was we built it as an Ant project. Then in the second episode, we converted it into a Maven project. So we just put the annotation in there. It's good to know what's happening under the hood, but you don't need to know.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So then, the problem that we had when we were doing that is that we were making use of this get preferred action to make some kind of connection, and basically I messed up because whenever I right-clicked on that, I didn't see a menu item, and that's because the get preferred action simply defines what happens when you double-click on a node, and it doesn't provide its own menu items.
Okay? Yeah.
So if you want to provide your own menu items, you need to use this method here, get actions. You can see here that there's an array of actions that are returned here.
Yeah.
And each of those actions, when you right-click on a node, those are the menu items that you see.
Yeah.
So get preferred action is simply what happens when you double-click on a node, and get actions is when you right-click on a node and you want there to be actions. What actions are those?
And
you can see here we have one action in this case.
And I lost your screen share again. I don't know what's happening.
That sucks.
You are at the usual location. I see the same background. So I don't know what's happening. Really.
It's my home couch office. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm on a couch.
That's right. Couchbase plugin on NetBeans on a couch.
On the couch. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do.
Try the screen share again. Maybe stop it and start it again.
All right.
And then Skype is a little weird today. Blue Jeans was not very happy. Okay, I see the console. Yeah.
Okay. So we were in the root node, and we've looked at two important methods in here. The one is get preferred action, and the other one is get actions. Get preferred actions.
Yeah.
Determines what happens when you double click, and get actions determines when you right click.
Right.
What is seen there.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, what I have added here when I right click is add Couchbase cluster, and then a login form appears, and that's what you see here. So you can see here a J button and another J button, and basically a UI being built up here, and whatever is filled in here is put into a preference. So this is an extension of the Java Preferences API.
Right.
There's a NetBeans specific place in the NetBeans user directory where these properties are written into, and then later other parts of the plugin can look in that location and make sure that the authentication and etc. for the cluster is correct.
So I think we're gonna do the screen share once again, and I'll just raise my hand every time the screen share stops. Something is messy.
Well, I can't see you though when I'm talking, so okay.
Which is okay, yeah.
But I can see. Oh, for yourself, for your own editing. I see.
Yeah. Because if the screen share is not there, then editing, people will not see anything. All they'll see is your pretty face.
Which is worth seeing, of course.
Absolutely. So one of the things I realize is when I right click on the Couchbase node, it should not be add Couchbase cluster. It should be more like add Couchbase node, because we're not really adding a cluster. Multiple nodes are put together in a cluster.
Okay, and this is a cool thing, though.
I'm not seeing the screen yet.
Oh, sorry. Wait, I shouldn't actually do this thing then, because I was just going. This will lead us to illustrate an interesting point. Tell me when you see it.
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying we should not see here add Couchbase cluster.
Well, here what we can say is add Couchbase host or node, because cluster is a bunch of nodes put together.
Sure.
So the terminology needs to be fit right.
Sure. And normally what you would expect to do is you would expect to have to go into some property file and find that display text and change that display text, right? That's what you would expect to.
Right.
But the nice thing here is that we have those display text directly inside of the Java code, annotated by means of in-beam bundle messages, which means that whenever we compile this file, that property file will be generated for us.
Gideon, something is not right, man. I'm losing the screen every minute or so.
Oh well.
You know what? You may try to minimize your screen. I blew up my Skype screen to a big thing.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I've been online with people the last couple of days a lot without any
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. Let's try this way. No, let's get off here. Maybe Skype is not working very well. Let's try the Google Hangout. Okay.
Okay.
Let me invite you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Your screen share again.
so where do I do that?
So on the left side, you should see a screen. You know what? They keep changing this silly UI for Hangouts. So if I go here, come on. Oh, on the top right, I see share screen.
Top right.
There are 3 dots, and on the dots, if I click, it says share screen. So let me share my screen so that you see what am I seeing. Okay. So I'm gonna share.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So
That'll be fun.
here is my screen. Okay. So now here I'm seeing these 3 dots, and there.
I'm not seeing a screen. Wait. Where's the 3 dots?
On the top right here in the Hangout window.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was looking in the wrong place.
That's okay.
Got it.
All right. Very cool.
So what were we talking about?
So we were talking about that how right-clicking on Couchbase shows Couchbase cluster and how those values are embedded into the annotation itself.
Right. So so the point is, this display text that you see here, normally you would expect to find that inside of some properties file that you would have to look for, and you would break your workflow because you'd be switching from Java code to properties file and back to Java code and things like that. So the cool thing is here that we have the display text directly inside of the Java code. However, we have an annotation, and this annotation means that when we compile this code, the properties file will be generated. So we still have the property file. You can still give it to someone to translate, but we don't have to switch to a different context to change our display text.
So how would internationalization work in that case? So somebody changes the file in a different language, say Japanese or Korean or Chinese. How would that file be read back in here? Because this Couchbase cluster is baked into the annotation itself.
Yeah, so what we would do is we would put that properties file we would commit it into this project, into the Maven project, in the right way with the right file. Hey, I can hear an echo.
I don't hear an echo. Do you?
I can hear my voice coming back.
Well, that's weird. I don't hear
more. Not anymore. No, it's okay now. It's okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So what should I change this to from?
So add Couchbase node.
What should it be?
Instead of cluster, just change the word to node. N-O-D-E.
Node.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've actually added something new to the plugin as well.
Today, finally we did. Yeah. After all this debugging with Skype and BlueJeans and Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this is good information, because over the past couple of weeks we have added a whole lot of functionality. It was still important to understand, kind of step back and understand the big picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll push it.
So we have about, say, 20 minutes. Now, what other features that you would like to dig into that we have built over past couple of weeks?
Right. So just to quickly go through the source code, like based on what we have talked about so far, you should understand quite a lot, because there is this Couchbase root node that you see here, and that is this one. This one with the Couchbase icon. And when I right-click on that, I see this dialog, and that dialog is this one, is this login form. So that explains the main package of the plugin. Now, the next interesting package is this one called connection, because that one defines this connection node here that is called localhost in this case. So once we say add Couchbase cluster, which will be add Couchbase node, we will have a new node here, like localhost. But what you are saying is, so is this correctly named connection, or should it be node?
That should probably be node, because essentially I will have a top level Couchbase NetBeans node, and in that NetBeans node I might have multiple nodes which are Couchbase nodes.
Okay, so there's one problem here. There's a bit of overloading of terms, because there's Couchbase node and there is NetBeans node.
Right.
So maybe we should call this one Couchbase node.
And actually, you know what? I want to go back to sort of a design philosophy here. How about what are the? I mean, in terms of NetBeans, this is still called as a connection, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think let's stick with the connection terminology. I want to stick with the NetBeans terminology, and then maybe somewhere in the doc we can say, oh, by the way, this simulates Couchbase, and essentially that's what it is. It's a connection to a Couchbase node.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think the package name is fine.
Yeah. Now, if you bear in mind all of this, all of the node hierarchy, so there's a root node, a connection node, a bucket node, a document node, and these rows, and these are rows within the document.
These are attributes in a JSON document, yeah.
So each of the packages map to a node concept.
Got it.
So you can see here, this is the root node, this is the connection node, this is the bucket node, and then a row is actually a document. So this is a document node.
So yeah, it should not be a row. Yeah, row is a very specific database, relational database terminology. So I think that package should really be changed to document in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So this should be document.
Yeah. Row is a very relational database terminology.
Yeah, sure. So that's a document. And value, so by value is meant these guys, these key values inside of a document. So I'm not sure what you would be comfortable with calling these guys.
No, these are actually attributes. Now, one part I don't understand, for each of these attributes, well, first of all, I think shouldn't the package hierarchy reflect that these are attributes within a document? So it should be couchbase.document.attributes, because attributes would not live by themselves unless they are in a document.
Yeah, sure, but then we would, because a document lives inside of a bucket, so we would have bucket.document, or then we would have document.attribute, and you know.
Okay.
That's the reasoning.
Right. Otherwise, it become a highly nested package structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And model. So this is a Couchbase document.
And Couchbase would be lowercase b.
Sorry.
Couchbase
document.
Oh, this needs to be a class refactor, I guess.
Yes. Okay, so Couchbase document, and this Couchbase value is an attribute. So what these are basically helper classes. These are plain POJOs that are created when they need to be created.
Right.
Couchbase document. A document has a bucket name, so a document belongs to a bucket. And we could develop this further, but it's a starting point for getting down to the actual data that we want to display and work with.
Right, and if you look at this document here, for example, on line 14, I see there is a Couchbase document that is being referred, and then if I look at Couchbase document, if you click on that class, in Couchbase document there was a nickel query row, which is basically where the interception point with the Java SDK of Couchbase is handed over to. So you build that hierarchy of nodes using the NetBeans programming model, NetBeans platform, and then at the leaf node you say, oh, by the way, now I'm done with the NetBeans part. Let me take that and hand it over to the underlying product or project which is going to then pull the data and reflect back to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Looking good.
Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. And I think that really gives us a nice big picture.
Factoring to correct Couchbase terminology.
I don't see what you're doing.
But,
I only see your NetBeans screen.
oh, I see. I'm sorry. It's because I'm sharing NetBeans IDE, and I popped up a dialog for committing this to Git, and I'm sure it's outside of the share, basically.
I see.
Yeah. No worries. I'm just committing what the changes we've just made into Git.
That's cool.
Okay. Now, the next interesting part are these actions. Okay, and I talked a little bit already about the root node. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I talked about the root node, and the root node has one action which brings up the login dialog. So we can see this here,
right?
This login form. Now the next level, so we've called that connection node. When we right-click on that node, we see create bucket and server defaults. Right. And the server defaults, this is the one that you requested last time. So you want to be able to set how many buckets are shown per connection by default. So you can see here we have 4 buckets, and I can change the server defaults here to 2.
So we have we have 3 buckets that are being shown. Oh, cool. Okay.
And now we have 2. So this is the number of documents within the buckets.
Oh, okay. So I'm not seeing your pop-up dialogues though. I don't know what's happening.
I'm sorry. That's because I'm sharing wrongly. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go back and start sharing again. And I guess all you can see is just NetBeans itself. Share screen. Entire screen.
There you go.
Okay, so now when I right-click on the root node, you can see this add Couchbase cluster.
Yeah.
It will be add Couchbase node. When we right-click on the connection node, you can see create buckets and server defaults.
Yeah.
When I choose server defaults, I can say how many documents I want to display for each bucket by default. Right.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's what we discussed last time.
Correct. So now we have added that functionality. So you want to show us where that login form, we saw how a login form was implemented. Show us where the server defaults form is implemented.
Yes. So you can see server defaults, and you can see create bucket. So server defaults, let's take a look at the connection node.
Okay.
You can see the connection node. It's really interesting here. When we double click on the connection node, nothing will happen. You can see here, no is returned, which means nothing will happen, and the default behavior of the double click will be followed, which is that the node will collapse.
Right.
You can see this collapsion and expansion is because we have said we want the default behavior.
Yeah.
Now for the get action, so this determines what is displayed when you right click on our connection node. And you can see here we are not listing a long list of actions. We're simply saying that the actions registered in the registry in this folder location will automatically be available when you right-click on that node.
Right.
And so you can see here actions connection. So when I go to create bucket action, you can see here that, so this is the first of the 2, create bucket. And you can see here that it is registered in the category connection. So this is action ID, again, an annotation. So when this class is compiled, what will be registered in that XML file will be that this action is in the connection category, which is the category which we have connected to the right-click of our node.
So the user has to pretty much kind of play around with the annotations. The right XML file and the metadata is generated and plugged in accordingly.
Yeah. And this is actually very powerful because it means if someone else creates a completely separate plugin, separate from the Couchbase plugin, and creates their own action and registers it in that same category, then when that is installed, it will automatically be added to this list.
Right. And that way they don't have to really, muck around with,
So
I need to I need to edit the XML file and things like that.
They don't need the source code of our plugin.
Right.
Someone can go to GitHub, create their own plugin, which extends our Couchbase plugin simply by having an action in that same location in the registry.
Right. Understood.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. So this is the create bucket. Then there is this one, which I'm not actually sure where this is coming from, the server defaults. So how I would find that out is the search for server defaults. Okay, it is this action. So it's a bit strangely named. I should call it properties action. We should call this server defaults action.
I was wondering, that there's probably a naming problem more than anything else, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're getting a message. Okay, properties action. So this should be server defaults. This is great. We're doing a code review and we're just synchronizing between ourselves what is the correct terminology.
And I think the best part of this is the code is such a readable code. If I look at the class name, I know exactly what this is and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here what we're doing, we are setting a preference. And you can see here when I right-click and I choose server defaults, this little dialog pops up. And you can see there is default number of documents, and that is this label.
Yeah.
And server level setting is the title of this dialog. When we press enter, we get the we get this input text here.
Yeah, the input text.
You see, we get the input text from the line. So here we get the input text, and we set a preference. And then elsewhere we have a listener that picks up that there's a preference change, and it refreshes the hierarchy. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And you can see here, well, here is part of that infrastructure. I think we can talk about that another time, but this is this triggering infrastructure that listens for changes and then triggers updates.
Right.
I think also this is the part that I need to do the most work on to make that a coherent, because right now there are different listeners listening to different things, and what I need to do is basically make a more coherent system from that is simpler and easier to understand.
Right.
And easier to customize.
Yeah.
We've also fixed that one.
Yeah.
So this is the this is. Oh, just checking this in and back into the repo. Okay, so the next level is the bucket, and inside of the, so you can see our check-in going in. Okay. The next level is the bucket. And inside of the bucket, when I right-click on the bucket, I can see create document and 2 queries here, which is also something I'm still working on. But the one thing here is create. You can see here, create document. And again, you can see that this text here is on there is create document. And you can see here there's an annotation for that.
Yeah.
And well, nothing actually happens. It's just a display text right now. I'm not actually creating documents at this point. It just, you can see that this status displayer statement, it writes something into the status bar. That's all it does. So it can be useful, to give a message to the user about what's going on right now. So you can see, if you look in the bottom left, when I click on that create document, I can see here create document. So
Yeah,
right now, no document is actually being created.
I think that is very powerful because sometimes you accidentally might click somewhere and then you don't know what you did. But if the
Right,
action is intelligible, it'll actually tell you, hey, this is what you did, by the way. And then you recognize, oh, I messed up or I did the right thing.
right, exactly. I mean, it's all about giving lots of UI signals back after performing an action, so that the user knows what they did, and
Correct, correct.
you know,
Correct.
yeah,
And
keeping
I
them.
think in general that's the part I love about NetBeans. You know, and that's what makes me feel more comfortable with NetBeans, that it gives me that feedback.
Right. Yep. Well, I mean, when you say that, what you're saying is that I mean, the people creating particular features are giving you feedback. You know, it's not NetBeans. It's not NetBeans itself. It's a decision that someone makes
Right.
who makes that feature to provide those that feedback.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Okay. So we're looking at the bucket, and there's a bucket node. And in the same way that when we look in the connection node has children, so you can see that the children of the bucket of the connection node are defined by this bucket child factory. So that brings us into the bucket. So now we're inside of the bucket, and for each of the children of a document, we have a bucket that's created. And here is the bucket, and we've seen that its actions are determined by what is registered in that folder in the registry.
And so this is very similar to the one that we saw earlier, that we just have the annotation, and that annotation will automatically generate it. And then we also talked about how somebody else could extend the plugin, add that annotation, and then the XML file would be rightly generated.
Exactly right.
And I think
So
one of the cool things that I see here also is between line 29 to 38, for example, you can see the clear handoff between the NetBeans platform and the Couchbase Java SDK.
Exactly. So this is exactly the point I wanted to make next, that this is only as correct as I think it is. I mean, this is maybe, it could be expressed better. You can see here that here everything is selected from a particular bucket. And, you know, this maybe could be better, you know, we need to look at this. But ideally, all of the stuff that we see here would be customizable by the user. So when I right-click on here, that I could actually do some queries and have a query editor open where you can actually do this. And because what we're doing right now is a simple query, basically, a very simple all query, and then presenting a subset. But an expert Couchbase user might want to do something much more complex than this.
Right, right. Understood.
Okay, so and the same is true for the next level.
Yeah, we are actually just over time, so let's try to wrap up in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm getting is, you know, we go node by node, we keep digging into the hierarchy, and then we figure out, oh, at this level, like if I'm in bucket or I'm in document and I'm in attribute, whatever that is, I do the right transition to the corresponding Couchbase Java SDK, and then you know keep plugging them together.
Yep, absolutely right. That is completely. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And so actually, this is how you can see that every plugin you create for NetBeans is really just an implementation of the same concept.
Right.
Everything that you do in terms of NetBeans APIs is comparable to something else. I mean, everyone has had to do something similar to this for all the other nodes.
Right.
Maybe a good place to end.
No, I think so. No, I think we have learned for past couple of weeks, we have really extensively did a lot of our plugin building, and today we learned about the NetBeans platform itself. So next episode, you know, which will hopefully be next week, we can take a look at it. How can we continue extending? You know, take a look at the issues and see if we can start implementing some of those once again.
Yeah, and also what's great about this session is that we've gone through the naming of the classes and the packages, and we've fixed some of that up to make it fits the Couchbase terminology.
I think that's a very important point because not tomorrow necessarily, but in the next few months when I come back to it, when I start looking at my code, I know exactly. Oh yeah, this is Couchbase terminology. If somebody else is maintaining it, it's easy for
Yep.
them to look at it and understand. If they have the Couchbase domain knowledge, then they can connect with the NetBeans platform that way.
Right, exactly.
Okay, okay, very cool. So I'm not sure we really need to do NBM release, although it's pretty straightforward. Do you want to maybe show quickly once again how did we do the NBM release last time?
So you right-click, and in the case of a Maven build, we do a clean and build, and which is just doing a Maven install. That's
Right.
all that happens.
Right.
And what is created is the target folder, and in the target folder,
Well, I think it's not working here. It's failed to execute goal. It's not a happy guy here. What happened?
yeah, it's because well, it doesn't really matter. It's because I have installed the same plugin into NetBeans itself, and so stuff like that.
Okay.
So basically, normally you would have in here, you would find your NBM file, and you would that's it inside this NBM folder. You would have your NBM file.
Okay, and so that's okay. So the next week when we add more features to it, I don't think we really need to release an NBM. So we can start with a clean install of the build, and then we will upload the NBM
Right.
as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Great. This is fantastic, Gitan. I'm sorry we had a lot of technical trouble today, but hopefully we'll do a better job next time.
It's always fun. It's always fun.
Yeah. Great. No, I think this is really good. Hold on, I'm seeing myself. I'm not seeing your pretty face.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I think this is a great end, and I will publish this video. And anyway, you have committed the source code as well, so we will continue hacking on this more next week.
Yep.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Talk to you soon.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye.